You know, Christopher Reeve literally zoomed to fame in the movies Superman and the sequel Superman 2, but his acting career is taking new turns. His latest film is an adaptation of the Broadway hit Death Trap, in which he is playing a very peculiar character. Would you please welcome Christopher Reeve? Thank you very much for being here.
Pleasure.
I saw Death Trap. Now, the character is peculiar, and it seems to me, having seen Superman and also Death Trap, that this may have been the more difficult of the two characters to play. Anything there?
I tell you what, everybody thinks that I'm trying to make a departure from Superman, as though it was something that I have to apologize for, that's something I have to try to get away from. Superman is something that's a very important part of my life that I'm very grateful for, and it changed everything. But I'm not trying to get away from it. I'm not trying to prove a point to anybody. I'm not saying, hey, public, take a hike. I'm really an actor, It's, Superman in an odd sort of a way was harder to do than Death Trap, where I have a, fabulous director and, Sidney Lumet directed, and Michael Caine and Diane Cannon, and long speeches and plenty of time to shoot it. So in a way, there's a lot to really sink your teeth into. And Superman, I was standing out there, really looking silly. And I had to make something out of it, So Superman was a triumph against the odds, really, whereas Death Trap is, right on the money, sort of a pop fly, really.
Mm-hmm. You do sound a little defensive about the fact that you...
What, who, me? Huh?
But it must be both a plus and minus to knowing that for a generation of people now, until something else happens, you're going to be Superman. And I don't, by something else happens, I mean when you decide to quit
get
making
arrested
films.
or something. No, if I never did anything else in show business, I would be proud to say that I played that movie and made some people happy with it. However, having said that, I would probably, if I couldn't get a job, I would still act someplace, move to, Hoboken and start a community theater or something like that. Not quite the same thing, but nearly. And it is not something I have to apologize for. Fortunately, what happens in the business, if you do a movie like that, and if you have a stage training, which I do, the first thing that happens is the industry, the Sidney Lumets and the big directors say, does the guy have potential? Then the public says, is he interesting? And then the media says, how do we label him? And that happens to presidents, it happens to murderers, it happens to actors, Superman, whatever. Everyone's got a label right away. So I'm no exception to this rule.
Yeah, people, that's right, they do not rest until someone or something has been categorized so they can be reacted to or dealt with.
I saw Rich Little do a thing on the Carson show the other night, which just cracked me up, and is a perfect comment on how the media labels people right away. He was asked to do presidents in one word. And he said, say Lyndon Johnson, he just went, barbecue. And immediately, you knew from the whole thing, I can't imitate it the way he did, but you knew from a whole thing of, you get an image of the man out there cooking steaks and pulling the dog by the ears, and you have a whole thing.
Or cooking the dog and pulling steaks by the ears, yeah.
And he did a thing, he said, what for Gerald Ford? For Gerald Ford, he just went, whoops.
Yeah.
And I just think it shows that it doesn't matter who you are. Why does Time Magazine, for example, call everybody by capital letters? Actor so-and-so, faded film star so-and-so, 77, a label and an age right away. So they're not ganging up on me, is what I'm trying to say.
I'm stricken sitting here next to you by how...
Are you all right?
Yeah.
I can help.
By how young a person you are. Well, I guess you knew that, though, didn't you?
Have you always been this young, or is there something that happened recently?
But you are a very young man.
It's called a silly haircut, is really what it is.
I get those occasionally.
Yeah, that'll do it.
You go in looking like yourself, you come out like a duck.
Absolutely.
Not that you look like a duck, mind you, but there ought to be a law.
I've been called worse.
Federal legislation on haircuts. Well, tell me a little bit about, maybe you don't want to talk about this, about sailplaning.
No, I'd rather not talk about that.
Rather not talk about
personal to me. Soaring is, this is not jumping off a cliff with a kite on your back. That I don't understand. This is flying in a plane with no engine.
That makes plenty of sense.
Much more sense. But, and I fly as far as I can and go where I want to. And sometimes as a competition, sometimes just for fun.
But for people who may not understand what this is exactly, again, go through the description of how you get up and how you get down. I think they understand how you get down.
You do the best you can, right?
Yeah.
You go up and you hope you come down again in one piece. And every time I land someplace I'm not supposed to, which happens occasionally in gliding when the lifting air isn't working anymore. It starts raining. Eventually, you land. Anytime I don't get back to the home airport, the press treats it, Superman crashes, film at 11, you know? And it's not an uncontrolled disaster. It is free flight. It's
You ride the thermals, the waves of warm air coming off the surface of the Earth.
Right, so why'd you ask me the question? Yeah.
Because I was...
Absolutely.
No, I find this fascinating.
It's a lot of fun. It really is. It's the highest you can get legally.
Yeah. And is it safer than flying motored craft?
Yeah, it's safer than flying a 747.
Really?
Absolutely. Well, it depends who's at the controls,
Yeah.
but yeah, you can. It's a wonderful escape, and it's something you can share with people. Where, nice thing about it is you can't worry about your problems and fly the airplane at the same time, and that's nice.
Yeah. We've had 2 other people on the show who've worked with Marlon Brando, and I know you worked with him for a few days. And anything interesting come of that relationship?
I must say, I don't say this to be vicious, but I don't worship at the altar of Marlon Brando because I feel that he's copped out in a certain way. He's no longer in the leadership position that he could be. He could really be inspiring a whole generation of actors and by continuing to work. But what happened is the press loved him, whether he was good, bad, or indifferent, where people thought he was this sort of institution no matter what he did. So he doesn't care anymore, and I just think it would be sad to be 53, whatever he is, and not give a damn, that's all. I just think it's too bad that the man has kind of been forced into that hostility.
But you wouldn't... Well, he's here tonight, Chris.
I don't care. And listen, that's something that I would say to him as well. I don't want to be accused of talking out of school. You know, but he could be a real leader for us.
Yeah. Was it exciting to work with him, though?
Not really, no. No. I had a wonderful time, but the man didn't care. I'm sorry. He just, took the $2 million and ran,
Yeah.
So,
interesting.
I just still care. I'm a real beginner, and I just care so much that it hurts when someone's phoning it in.
Yeah.
He is a wonderful actor. He's a brilliant man. But at this moment, he just isn't motivated. That's all I mean to say.
Well, I appreciate you being here. It was a lot of fun meeting you.
Marlon's going to kill me, but
No,
anyway,
no.
thank you.
Thank you very much.
Pleasure.
Christopher Reeve, ladies and gentlemen.